Every year I do the NHL Bracket Challenge and I typically get it quite wrong, but it's fun to do anyway, and for the past few years I have been filming it and posting it on my channel, and so we're continuing the tradition this year with the 2025 Stanley Cup bracket. I won't bore you with a longer introduction than that. Let's fill out a bracket and let's hope that it ages well. Okay, so for the first pick, it's between Winnipeg and St. Louis. Winnipeg have been absolutely incredible this year. President's Trophy winners, of course, which means that the President's Trophy curse comes along with that. Their goaltending is the best in the league. They're just such a dominant team, whereas St. Louis, they kind of got into the playoffs not on a fluke. They just got really hot with like a 12-game win streak or whatever, and that's kind of what got them in. Which to me isn't the same as being good all season long like Winnipeg has, so I'm definitely going to pick the Jets for that one. And then we have Dallas and Colorado, which for me is honestly the hardest one to predict. I have said all season long that I think the Dallas Stars are going far into the playoffs and they're going on a deep cup run, but towards the end of the season there, they kind of tapered off a little bit and they don't look quite as good anymore, so I'm really stuck between whether to stick with my guns and pick the Stars or go with, I guess, a more logical side and say the Avs, because the Avs have McKinnon, they have Makar, they have like the star flashy players, whereas I feel like Dallas does have depth, but it's very much reliant on players getting and staying healthy. By the way, when I do these every year, there's like a balance between, I try and be logical about it, but to a degree I also sometimes pick just based off of, I don't know how to describe it, like the vibe of a team, or I don't know, like instinct on a team or whatever. So I feel like it's a hot take because I feel like Colorado are ultimately the better team at this moment in time, but I'm going to pick Dallas because I've said all season long that they're going to go far. The Vegas Golden Knights versus the Minnesota Wild. Now, I actually really like Minnesota as a team. I don't know why, but they're just a team I have a little bit of a soft spot for. I quite like them. However, Vegas have swept them in the regular season series this year. Vegas are just such a good group and they have so much playoff experience. So I feel like it's inevitable that it's going to be Vegas, even though I'm actually really sick of seeing Vegas in the postseason. The LA Kings versus the Edmonton Oilers. Of course, Edmonton came really close to winning a cup last year. However, I don't feel like they're the same dominant team as they were last year at this point. They've definitely been really hurt by injuries. I really feel like they have been damaged so much by them. Whereas LA, got Darcy Kemper, who is incredible. The Kings have a record of 3-1-0 this season over the Oilers. I feel like I'm definitely picking LA, and that's not just because I don't like Edmonton, which I don't like Edmonton, but it genuinely, I do feel like LA are the better team, so we'll go for LA in that one. Okay, the number of games. I feel like Winnipeg are such a good team. It's not going all the way to a 7. I feel like it might still go, it's not a sweep. It's not a sweep. I don't feel like it's a sweep. Either 5 or 6. I'm going to say Winnipeg in, I'll say 6. Dallas, I think that's going right to a game 7. I honestly can't really tell what's going to happen there. That's the one I'm absolutely least sure of in this whole like first round of the bracket, is between Dallas and Colorado. I think it's going to a game 7. Vegas, I think 5. I can't see Minnesota doing much against them. LA and Edmonton, I'm going to say LA in 6. Or 5? No, 6. I'll stick with 6. Okay, over to my side of the NHL bracket, really. The Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Ottawa Senators. I won't go on about it too much because I uploaded a video yesterday that was a whole first round preview of this matchup, so I won't go into it too much, but I feel like the Leafs have had a great regular season this year, like better than normal. Their goaltending is so good, they've got great defensive depth, and as long as the core group can show up, they're honestly a team that's built to win a cup right now. Like, they're in their prime for it in my opinion, whereas Ottawa in comparison, obviously still a very good team, but their core group has no playoff experience. I do think that leaves them vulnerable to losing, so I was going to pick the Leafs anyway because I'm biased as hell, and I sometimes get comments when I do things like this with people being like, oh, like, you're biased towards the Leafs. Like, yes, I know, I am. I don't try and claim otherwise. Like, I love the Leafs, they're my team, they're my whole personality. I think I can be unbiased on stuff, but I love my team. I'm very passionate about the Leafs, and so I will always have a bias towards them, and most of my videos are based around the Leafs, so, you know, that's kind of what my channel's about. But yeah, definitely I'm picking the Leafs in that one. Very excited for the Battle of Ontario. Of course, we also have the Battle of Florida going on, Tampa Bay Lightning versus Florida Panthers. So the Florida Panthers, obviously reigning Stanley Cup champions, are they starting to run out of steam a little bit? Again, they've been really unlucky with the injuries. Matthew Tkachuk, big loss to the team. I really didn't think I'd be that scared of Tampa going into this year, but to be honest, they had a great off-season and they made some really good moves. They've really plugged the gaps that they had in their team. And so honestly, I didn't think I'd be saying it, but I think Tampa are going to take that one. The Washington Capitals versus the Montreal Canadiens. The Washington Capitals, they had the wildest off-season that I feel like we've seen in years. Obviously, Ovi has had a history-making year. It's funny because when I look at the Washington Capitals roster, I don't feel like their roster looks as good as what they actually are. They're a testament to the fact that hockey really is what is played on the ice rather than what you can make up on a piece of paper or on a roster sheet. Whereas Montreal obviously just like scraped their way into the playoffs. The first half of this season, I never would have thought they'd even be in a playoff spot, whereas they've really picked up in the latter half of this year. But even so, really when it came to it, when they had to come in clutch, they struggled to get a playoff spot. So I'm definitely going Washington. I feel like they're the much stronger team. I'll be really surprised if Montreal wins that one. And finally, the Carolina Hurricanes versus the New Jersey Devils. I am going Canes all the way. Obviously, New Jersey have got the Jack Hughes injury, which has really just killed their hopes off, unfortunately, in my views. Whereas Carolina, deep team, seem like they could be a good contender. Absolutely the Canes. How many games? Okay, so I'm predicting that the Leafs versus Sens round is going to go quite far on. I want the Leafs to win it in like 6. Well, obviously, I mean, I'd love the Leafs to sweep it, but I can't see either team sweeping it. I'm going to say, I honestly, just the thought of watching another Game 7, I just don't know if I can handle that, even though I feel like it is plausible that that may happen. I'm going to go Leafs in 6. 6 for the 6. I think Tampa will also win it in 6. Washington over Montreal. This is the one first round matchup that I could see there being a sweep. But at the same time, I don't know. I never predict sweeps. I just think it's so difficult to do. So I'm going to say 5. Mind you, Carolina over New Jersey. Do you know what? That could also be a sweep. But again, I think I'll go for 5. I just think sweeps are so difficult for teams to do. Like, you're bound to give up one game at least, right? Okay, and then the second round, which it's always nice to see second round and a Leafs logo next to it. That's always a novel thing. Leafs versus Tampa. I honestly do think this is maybe, you know what, maybe I'm just in a really optimistic mood today, but I really do think the Leafs could beat Tampa. They also could do what they did the last time they got to the second round and just not go much further. But I really do think the Leafs may stand a chance against Tampa this year. They've played well against them in the regular season. I could see the Leafs doing it. I'm feeling optimistic, okay guys? Okay. Washington versus Carolina. I honestly think that would be quite a fun matchup to watch. I'm going to say Washington, even though... will I? Yeah, I just think Washington, there's just something about that team. They don't have particularly, like, take Ovi out of it, I don't feel like they're the flashiest of teams, but I just feel like there's something there, this chemistry that just works well with them, and I think that's the kind of team that can do well in the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win it though, but we'll get to that, I'm getting ahead of myself. Winnipeg and Dallas. I think Winnipeg are the stronger team. I mean, I would rather it was Dallas, but I feel like Winnipeg have just been far more consistent, so I'm going to go Winnipeg. Vegas versus LA. That'd be another fun matchup. That really would be fun to watch. I'm honestly going to go for LA, partially because it's what I would like to happen, and I really do think that that would be a tight series between those two as well. I feel like I don't know, yeah, I don't know, I feel like probably Vegas was the more sensible option to go for there, but there's just something about that LA team. They've just got some like grit about them. I could see them doing well. Conference finals. Leafs versus Capitals. Well, I mean, we all know what I'm going to go for here, so I won't waste you guys' time. Leafs. The Leafs are going to the Stanley Cup final this year, and if they're not, then I'll be crying a river as usual, I guess. There's just something about this Leafs team, it feels different this year, and I really hope I'm right, because otherwise I'm going to be so sad. But there's something about them that they feel like this well-rounded team now. In comparison to before, I felt like they were often just very reliant on the core group, who often didn't show up in the postseason, whereas I feel like, you know, they've got the good goaltending, their defense has been so much better. Like, surely it's got to happen, surely. Again though, it still very much weighs on whether the core four turn up or not, so it does rely quite heavily on that. But if the core can show up properly and the team can play the way it has all year long, they have been playing differently under Coach Berube. They have. There is a difference. There's a huge difference. They're more physical, more focused on defense. There's a difference there. Something different about this Leafs team. And I really, really hope I'm right. Otherwise, this is going to age terribly. Okay, Winnipeg or LA? Realistically, are we going to get an all-Canadian final? I would quite like that. I don't know, I'm kind of stuck between, I really don't plan this out before I start filming this. This is very much, in case you can't tell by my hesitations, I very much don't plan this out. So, Winnipeg or LA? Do you know what? Let's go all Canadian Stanley Cup final. Winnipeg Jets versus Toronto Maple Leafs. Of course, with the Leafs winning the cup. Just prepared to be embarrassed again. I also, for the total number of goals scored, I always just pick a random number, and I just picked 67 for very obvious reasons, because realistically, who can predict that number? So I just put 67, in case you wondered. So I'll pop up my final bracket here. So these are my Stanley Cup predictions for 2025. I really hope I'm right, but I can guarantee I'm not, because I'm wrong every single year. Drop me a comment down below, let me know your predictions for this year's playoffs. Who is taking Lord Stanley home this year? As always, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and also like this video if you did enjoy it. I will be posting videos after every Leafs playoff game, like I do every year and have done for the past few years. So also hit the notification bell if you want to be notified as soon as I upload those, because I'll be posting them the morning after every game. I say the morning after, the game's literally finished in the early morning for me. But anyway, yeah, hit the notification bell if you want to watch those too. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back very soon with more hockey chats from across the pond. Bye guys.
There's no one like you, my little girl. Your eyes so blue on